Okay. All right.
Check this. This is podium light. Ball number 1. Can you hear me? Okay.
Hello.
Mic number 6. Mic number 6. Someone's yelled, I got it.
I got it. Bingo.
Mic number 5. 5. 5. Jackson 5. Red 5. In. Check 1. 4. 4. On the golf course, yell 4. 4.
Hi.
3. Can't roll my R's with a mask. 3.
Are you
3.
still at Sidway?
No, I'm gonna be at Hughes for second grade. Yeah, the long-term sub.
A building base?
Thank you.
The
2. 2.
second grade
2.
long-term sub.
2. 2.
So good for you.
I know.
3. 2. 2.
That's great.
I'll miss you guys.
Us too, believe me.
1. 1. Check. Mic 1. Uno. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro.
Well, they will. Yeah, it's all the mics. And I'm putting my big head in front of the camera so you can see the. So that'll probably pop up here any second.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, that was probably scary. Okay. All right. So I'm
Stalking me out here. Stay in the hall. Becky's been standing there.
Yeah, I think that's it, besides the rest of the board members.
Yeah, please call the meeting to order and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
United States of America and to the republic for which
With us this evening, we have Gwen Boba, trustee, Jay Grover, trustee, Nicole Novak, trustee, Jude Cohn, our district clerk, Dr. Brian Graham, our superintendent, Annette Bear, president, Sue Marston, vice president, Joy Lamarca, trustee, Danielle Bruno, trustee, Mike Loria, assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction personnel, and we have Cheryl Cardone, assistant superintendent for student pupil personnel services, and we have with us Dr. Ruby Harris, who is assistant superintendent for business finance. Just a couple of announcements. If you have your cell phone with you, please make sure that it's silent. There are emergency exits directly behind me in case we have to leave quickly, and directly in front of me. And we should try to keep those doors unblocked just in case of an emergency. If I could have a motion to approve the agenda for August 30th, 2021, please. And a second.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Any objections? Any abstentions? Motion carried 7-0. If I could have a motion to approve the minutes from August 9th, 2021, please. And a second.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Any objections? Any abstentions? Motion carried 7-0. We have some correspondence, recognition, and good news this evening. Please do an introduction.
Sure. We're very excited to share with the board and the community one of our students, Jenna Hecht, who did a wonderful job in singing the national anthem for a contest with the VFW. So we have a video here. I don't know, is Jenna here today too? Oh, okay. Jenna, why don't you come up to the podium? Thank you, Jenna. Would you just share with the board all the information, and then we'll be able to hear you sing, and of course we'll all stand for the national anthem when we play the video.
Sure. So I auditioned a couple months ago for the Veterans of Foreign Wars national anthem competition, and I didn't think much would come of it, and then I ended up winning the Erie County level. I was very excited, and then I got to move on to state level, and I ended up winning first place for that, which was very exciting. And I ended up going to nationals, but I didn't win, but I was still very excited. I made it to state level.
So was this your audition video?
Yeah, yes it was.
Excellent.
And where did you go for nationals?
It was just this recording was sent,
Oh.
but I didn't myself go anywhere or travel.
Excellent. If we could all stand, please.
Stripes and bright stars through the perilous
I got it. Yes, thank you. See that? It's even your eyes. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Jenna, again from both board. We are now on to the public comment session, agenda items only, and we do have some individuals signed up. No, we did not have anyone signed up for this voice. Right?
I think they.
Yeah, later, okay. Yep, so we did not have anyone sign up for this. The voice of the people is later. So that brings us to curriculum and instruction with Mr. Loria.
Good evening, everybody. So our curriculum instruction, we have three items on the agenda tonight. The first is a lingering summer curriculum proposal from Mrs. Campbell at the middle school. The second is we're asking for the board to take action on some textbook requests that are new. We have one new astronomy course at the high school that textbook we're asking for the board to vote on tonight, as well as for the ELA department, this text, Just Mercy. And our third one is for our business department and entrepreneurial course, which is a food truck entrepreneur text workbook that the students will be hopefully engaging in with your approval today. And the third item is a summary of our each building. We've for years benefited from the Leslie Morris Book Project. I've actually reached out to Dr. Morris and we'll be meeting with her soon to talk about this year's plan and thank her obviously for her annual support for our school library. So that is the report from each of our building librarians on the agenda. So we're actually asking the board to take action on curriculum instruction A, B, and C.
Okay, if I could have a motion to approve items A, B, and C, please.
I'll motion.
And a second. All in favor? Aye. Any objections? Any abstentions? Motion carried 7-0.
For those books that we are approving, was there an online option or is there a supporting online option?
For the two, for the entrepreneurial and the astronomy, there are supporting online options. So for the, at least for the astronomy, we're ordering class sets and then they're supplementing that with the online.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that brings us to personnel instructional. If I could have a motion to approve PI 1 through PI 3, items A and B, and the addendum, please. And a second.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Any objections? Any abstentions? Motion carried 7-0.
I think we have an introduction tonight, Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Thank you very much, members of the Board of Education. It's my pleasure to introduce to all of you Ms. Alexandra Bubar. Allie Bubar, would you please stand up? Allie is going to fulfill the long-term substitute position as a school counselor for the middle school this year. She's a graduate of NCCC, Uval College, and NU, and has a master's degree in counseling from Niagara University. She completed a graduate assistantship in the education department this past spring, and the character traits that we recognize in the interview process in Allie is she is a good listener, she's a problem solver, definitely a collaborator, supportive, and an advocate for all students. I believe Allie will very strongly meet and exceed our expectations here at the middle school, and I anticipate that she'll only bring good things to our team and the students that we serve each and every day. So congratulations.
I'd like to invite Mr. Pikula. I think he has an intro or two.
I'd like to introduce to the board Gracie Mcnamara. Will you please stand?
Gracie is going to be fulfilling her long-term sub-position in second grade this year at Youth Road. She's actually our 6th second grade section at Youth Road. We've got a lot of second graders coming to our building this year. She's a Youth Road alumni. She actually is going to be working alongside some of the teachers that she has gone through the building with in her previous years. She's certified in childhood education grades 1 through 6, special ed 1 through 6. She's worked at Sidway as a short-term special education teacher assistant, a building-based substitute teacher as well at some point. And then this past summer, she was a second grade summer school teacher in our previous summer school program. So we are very much looking forward to working with Gracie at Youth Road. So welcome, Gracie.
Very good. Dr. Palacci.
Actually, I have one more.
Oh, sorry.
I have Mary Valley. Mary Valley, will you please stand? Mary Valley is going to be fulfilling our long-term sub-position at 5th grade at Youth Road, filling in for Amy McMahon, who's going on teacher on special assignment in district office. She is certified in grades 1 through 6, and she's actually pending, make sure I get this right, adolescent education in geology, grades 7 through 12. She's worked as an RTI math teacher and a 4th grade math virtual long-term sub in the Kenton district, and she's actually worked as well as Gracie did in the summer school program this past summer as a 7th grade summer school teacher. And of course, we're looking forward to having her working in Youth Road with us. Congratulations.
All right, Dr. Palacci.
Hi everyone, I'm really excited to introduce Allison Eckstein to you tonight. Allie's for standing. She is going to be our 2nd and 3rd grade long-term substitute teaching assistant. She finished student teaching at Kegabyne in the spring, and then she taught summer school at Sidway. She is a natural born teacher, and we are really excited to have her as part of our team. So congratulations. Thank you. And then I wanted to congratulate Laura Chitty. She's not here this evening, but she will be our 4th grade long-term sub this year. Thank you.
Just going to canvass any other intros. Oh, good. Mr. Antonelli. Great.
Good evening. We added a small basketball team to Sidway this summer, so I'm very excited to make a handful of introductions. The first person is not here, but we added a UPK aide. So we now have our last aide spot for our full-day UPK programs. We're very excited. We hired Chrissy Gallant for that. She's a certified art teacher. I'm very excited to get in the room with our youngest learners and start doing some crafts with them. So we're very excited for her. Additionally, we have added Taylor Vanderzel. Can you stand up? So Taylor has worked at a daycare on Grand Island. She did her student teaching at Niagara Falls and then some short-term work at Niagara Falls as well. So very excited to add her to be a TA in our 2 kindergarten co-taught rooms this year. So very excited to have her on board as well at Sidway. And then another TA we're going to add to our 1st grade co-taught rooms is Selena. Can you stand up? Is Selena Iozo. Selena did her student teaching at St. Mark's. She did a long-term sub job at Kenton last year. I'm very excited to add her to be our TA in our 1st grade co-taught classroom. So she'll be working in both of our 1st grade co-taught rooms this year. So very excited for her as well. Nicole, you want to stand up? This year we also hired a new 611 teacher for our kindergarten and 1st grade 611 classroom. Nicole comes to us with 4.5 years at Summit working with students with autism. She's a teacher mentor in her previous position and has a lot of ABA experience. So a great fit for the program that we have at Sidway and very excited to have her. Also this year we added a math RTI position. So now it is a 1.0 position at Sidway, which we are super excited about. Lindsay Brzezowski is going to be our math RTI person. So we are going to be jumping into iReady, looking at our data, and really digging into the math, her and I together, all the students at Sidway, and starting at 1st grade and then working our way down from there. So super excited to have a fantastic teacher and someone that does great work in math on the team at Sidway. Thank you. Lastly, we added our extra section of kindergarten. So Brittany Lawrence is going to be our kindergarten teacher. Very excited to have her. Brittany spent 4.5 years at Buffalo Hearing and Speech, working in a 611 room. In 19 and 20, she was actually a TA at Sidway, and then she was a special education teacher for maternity the second half of that year. And then last year, she spent the entire year at Sidway as a first grade classroom teacher. So very excited to add her to the Sidway team and have her be probationary as an elementary teacher at Sidway this year. So very excited for Brittany and the whole team bringing her to Sidway this year. It was a great summer.
Chantel will be a zone defense.
We're going to progress up to man.
All right, perfect. Very good. Do we have any others? Yes, Roger.
So with 11 sections of kindergarten, I have 8 years to build a new wing in the high school. At the high school level, we have 3 appointments. The first 2 are not here. The first one is Jeffrey Bednarczyk. Jeff is a certified social studies teacher through University of Buffalo. Last year he served as our building-based sub. Full year, and he is going to be the new TA in the life skills room, working with Melissa Kosmowski. He is a very compassionate gentleman, and I think he's going to do great things with those kids in that class. Secondly, we have Miss Alana Burt, who comes to us with an undergrad from Cornell. And she is going to be appointed as a .5 math, working with AIS, which she did last year in the Williamsville School District. And she will be substituting as our business .5 also. And then lastly, we have Mr. Brody Kaiser. Brody is going to be our long-term sub for our social worker position. Brody has an undergrad from Buff State and a master's in social work from Fordham University. And the last few years he's been working at Best Self. He's a very kind and compassionate gentleman, and I think he's going to do some great work with our kids here. I look forward to working with him and integrating him into a lot of the things we do here. Thank you.
All right, I think that's all that we have for special announcements.
All right, thank you. Everyone, new hires. Moving on to personnel non-instructional, if I could have a motion to approve non-instructional PNI 1 and through PNI 4, please. The second? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any objections? Any abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. And that brings us to finance with Dr. Harris.
All right, so I'm going to do this a little bit out of order because I do have someone here to do a little bit of a presentation in reference to our food service review, and then Patrick and I will present, and then I'll go through my items if that's all right. Okay, so Tom, can you come on up? I worked alongside with Patrick with Tom Finster to come in and really just look at what was occurring with food service. I know it's been a hot topic since I've been here. I hear many things from board members, so it probably started before that. So he came in, he did a review, he was able to provide some recommendations, and then this presentation is Patrick and I just giving a snippet and going off of his recommendations of what we think we can implement for this upcoming school year in 2 days. All right, take it away.
Well, good evening and thank you for having me. My name is Tom Pfister. I'm a retired school food service director from the Oneida, Herkimer, Madison, BOCES in central New York. Back in April, I was contacted by a colleague who put me in touch with Dr. Harris regarding the financial situation of the food service program. So on June 9th, I came out for the day, and I was met by Dr. Harris and Patrick Smith, both who were extremely receptive and provided me with every piece of information I could possibly ask for. I found the program to be extremely organized, a very intelligent food service director he really does have his hands on every facet of the program. Looking at the financials, again, none of it is a secret to where the program is, But just briefly, and again, Dr. Harris and Patrick will give the details. There are two areas right off the bat that caught my eye in any kind of food service program that is not profitable or not breaking even. Immediately, labor cost comes right to the forefront. Again, that was the case here. Most food service programs, an efficiently run food service program in a perfect world, will run about a 50% labor cost. It'll run a 40% food cost and a 5% miscellaneous cost. That's paper goods, repairs, trash removal, anything else that falls into that spot. That's 95% of the revenues, which leaves 5% for contingency or surplus, profit, whatever you want to call it. At Grand Island School, the labor cost was hovering around 70%. Food cost was very good at 41%. And for some reason, I still can't understand, the miscellaneous cost is a whopping 1.3%. So either you're doing a great job with your disposables, or it's just one of those things that maybe not a lot of extra costs are being assessed to the food service program. So anyways, that's 111%, which does not bode well for a profitable situation. So back to the labor cost, when I looked at the 6-year financials, it's consistently around $100,000 deficit every year. And it just, not coincidentally, the fringes, health insurance, hospital, medical, dental cost for the employees runs around $100,000. Well, nobody in this world would ever take away health insurance from an employee. I never have, never would, nor would I ever recommend it. But a plan, I recommend a plan to be put in place to, through attrition, try to get that cost shaped down over the next bunch of years. Actual employee wages were well within range with other school districts this size. Staffing has been pared back through the years to a functional level. So even the meals per labor hour rates are perfect. So really I could say the labor cost of 70% baked into that is that hospital mental piece that Dr. Harris and Patrick will talk more about. Very quickly, if it's not labor cost, then it's maximizing your revenues, in which case, again, Patrick has his food cost under control, his miscellaneous cost under control. But maximizing revenues, I immediately can go to 3 areas right off the top that absolutely they would want to address, you would want to address. First of all, the operation of a summer food service program, as extensive as that could possibly make sense, encompassing all of your elementaries and any other playgrounds, recreational sites, anything out there in the summertime. The reason being is state ed is very, very interested in feeding children during the summer. It's no surprise to anybody, but they're putting their money behind it. The reimbursement rates have skyrocketed for summer food service program. It's a good bunch of revenue. I'm sure it would be efficiently run. You have a strong food service manager here. But the other piece to that, which is even more important, is this past year, 2021, they tied in the reimbursement rates to the summer seamless option. What does that mean? That means any school that ran a summer food service program got to take advantage of the higher reimbursement rates for the meals that were served during the school year. And in this case, having that program enabled the school to, towards the end, start to pick up that higher rate. It is significantly higher than a normal national school lunch program reimbursement rate. Looking ahead to this coming year, gloriously, the USDA has said this will be another year of free meals for every school. That's a beautiful thing that enables Grand Island School to pick up on that higher reimbursement rate for the entire year. And where that's heading, I'll touch on in just a moment, because it could get very interesting here for 22-23. The other piece that's extremely important in this is the program participation, specifically breakfast. They started here handing out breakfast to the Catering students. As they came through the lunch line, the child was given a breakfast for the next morning. Brilliant idea. It made the breakfast counts go up exponentially and brought in a lot of extra revenue. My suggestion was, well, gosh, why wouldn't you want to do that for Huth Road and Sidway? If you could get that going for this coming school year, again, all the meals are free, so why not take advantage of getting those breakfasts out to the students? It translates into a very large increase in reimbursement, which next year, I'd love to come back a year from now and just look at the numbers just to see how it did play out. But the third thing, and it goes back to what I said about free lunches, up until COVID hit, one of the biggest headaches that I always had, and every school district always had, was how do you collect those negative balances at the end of the year, the charges. In 2019, I believe, the unpaid balances were $5,174 in this district. That's $5,000 the school food service program will never see. Now go out 2 years, 19, 20, 20, 21, 21, 22. You're going into over 2 years of parents not paying for school lunch. What is going to happen in 22, 23 should the government say, okay, back to the way it was, back to paying $3 plus for lunch. I think this is a key year to take advantage of the free lunches and the free breakfasts, get that introduced to every last student in this district, get the hype going. You've got a very strong food service director who's got a lot of good ideas along that front. And not to let the cat out of the bag, but the state of California recently enacted universal free lunch going forward forever. So no child in the state of California will ever pay for a school meal again. That is tremendous news for any school food service program anywhere. Fingers crossed. There are indications that other states in the union, hopefully New York State, would pass that mandate as well. That would be a home run. So I've spoken enough. I'm going to turn this over to the experts here, and I will listen in. And if there's any questions, I'd be glad to pipe in. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. For those who are new with the board, I am Patrick Smith, Food Service Director here at Grand Island, starting my 5th year, and get right into it. So what you see on the computer, or on the screen, well, I can't see, I need glasses. Wow. All right. So for 2020, you can see the difference. Or actually, this is our summer meal breakdown for the 2021 school year. So this was last summer. Unfortunately, we tried to get a summer food service program for the summer. There was just a lack of interest when it came to staffing.
Brenda. And just so you're aware, our food service staff are 10 or 10 and a half month employees. So they do not work in summer. So when we did this program in 2020, it was us sitting down, really trying to keep people's interest to do the program for those 2 months. But because they're not obligated and they have worked the entire COVID, you hit the summer, work the entire school year, the interest just wasn't there. Our hope is that as we continue forward, that we have the support to do a summer program. That may even be something that we speak earlier on with the union, so we can set rates for that in reference to what people would be paid, how that would flow, so it would just be seamless moving forward, instead of it being each year it comes up and it's like that May, June time, and it's, are we doing this or are we not? Just as a
So on this page here, this is just a monthly meal breakdown based on each building, and we just chose September, December, March, and June. You'll see in the pre-COVID monthly meal breakdown for the 2018-19 school year, and you can basically just look at the figures, numbers don't lie. And when you compare them to this past school year, you can see the meal breakdown. Hybrid, the kids were in hybrid for most of the year, so we're going to have a lack of participation. We really saw a big change once we started, once the kids came back full and once we started the Kegabine pilot, breakfast to go, we really started seeing the numbers and the reimbursement rates that we get when I submit claims to New York State. They're 3 figures, and on a normal year, 18-19, when I would do a claim for reimbursement, I was getting maybe at most $24,000, $25,000 for reimbursement. So during this COVID year, we were hitting months with $114,000 in reimbursement.
The thing that I would mention, so you're aware, is when you're looking at the breakdown, September, December, and March are only half capacity, and Wednesday students weren't here. So when you're trying to figure out like, well, why are the numbers like this, or how did they work out, that's something to keep in your mind. Yes, we offered meals to everyone, but their parent had to come and pick up multiple dates, so that limits people participating as well. So in the world of being at half capacity, one day is pretty much non-existent for students. Our numbers of participation were still high based on the fact that the meals were free.
Were the snack lines open?
So in the elementary schools, we still had snacks available for students. The high school and the middle school, we actually did not have snack lines, but we did have snacks for when they came through the line available to purchase. We just didn't go above and beyond having the snacks readily available due to the influx of students and the kids standing down halfway down the hallway trying to keep distance. There's a lot that was into it. So hoping this school year we can get those lines back open. That'll be a talk with some principals, because technically you don't want kids wandering around the cafeteria, standing in lines and all that stuff. So
the other question I have is, with the free lunches, obviously, we probably have more students purchasing. Are we working on the length of time in the lines? Because I know that was a concern. They only have so much time for lunch and they're spending 10, 15 minutes or whatever the number is in line, right? So I'm going to guess this year with us being back full time, there's going to be more kids taking advantage of that. I mean, is there something we can do to speed up the process?
well, we do an offer versus serve. So we give the students an option. There's always a fruit, there's 2 different types of fruit, there's always a mixture of vegetables. So we're asking the kindergartners, we're asking the first graders and so on, do you want a fruit cup, do you want an apple, so we can try to serve faster, we can try to have things more prepared, have the staff, the staff can only move as quick as they can move.
Can we limit the choices? I don't want when we went to school, we didn't get a choice, it was regular soup. Like, I'm not trying to be, but there are kids, my son, for example, every day, he won't wait for 10 minutes in a line. So, that's just one example. He could be impatient, he's probably ready to talk to his friends, but when the line is long, people are walking away.
That's definitely something I'll have to watch close with the start of school opening. Talk with the staff, see what the kids are getting. If they're not taking that cup of fruit and they're always taking an apple, maybe eliminate that off the line.
I love that there's choices, but maybe one day it's an apple, the next it's fruit.
That's totally something that we could look into. Yep.
I think we're going to see a lot more students taking advantage of it, right?
Yes, that is my goal.
Which will be awesome.
Yes. So this is Kegabine Elementary School, their grab-and-go breakfast pilot that we have done. You can see here, monthly total pre-COVID, the numbers for breakfast, they pretty much, they tripled and doubled and quadrupled. It was awesome to see. It was a lot of work, but well worth it in the end to see. And the kids, I know, thoroughly enjoyed having that snack to take home. Whether they ate it the next day for breakfast, I didn't care. What kid doesn't like getting something free to take home? Put in their book bag, snack on later. Even numbers are just drastic for breakfast. And I'm gonna assume with this school year, coming school year, the numbers are gonna even play, you know, higher, larger, bigger.
So just so you're aware, grab and go, that's what I called it, you call it whatever, but the grab and go breakfast started once all of the students returned back 100%. And I want to thank Dr. Palachi and her wonderful food service staff and her teachers with really just allowing us to pilot something new during an already hectic time. The way it funneled was students that participated in lunch that day also received a breakfast. Breakfasts were brought a little bit later in the day, non-perishables. We've changed some things that have been advised just with juice and explosions that came up. It was interesting, but so we've changed some things, and just being able to see the numbers reaching, having the conversation with the state and how much that had grown, and then having someone come in and review it and say, hey, this is great, can you copy or replicate this at other buildings? And we'll get into that a little bit more, but these numbers you see, especially in the June amount, shows you how much just breakfast expanded out. And when you think about how much we know was made in, when did we come back? April? End of April? So working with the end of April, May and June, when you push that out to a 10-month program, and then think about spreading that to 3 buildings, it's a game changer. Okay. You want me to talk about this? Yeah.
So our kids have school sports, musicals, band. Is there a market or an opportunity to sell snacks after school? I mean, I don't know if that's a thing, if it's ever been looked at, if it fails. I mean, these kids.
So yes, I've never actually looked into that much, but yes, there is a snack program where you do get a reimbursement for snacks. I would have to look into it and read about it. I'm sure that we'd have to sign up through state ed and get things approved and sign waivers. I don't have any experience in that.
Well, and it might not financially make sense. I was just curious if that was something, right? You know, these kids are.
I think the other thing to remember is we do have vending machines, and we do have Casey's, is it Corner? That sells as well. So there are stipulations when you are running a food service program that they're not supposed to be competing with us. So there's certain things that shouldn't be running or happening at certain hours of the day because one, we're serving food and snacks as well as what students are allowed to have access to in reference to being healthy and nutritious, which are not Skittles and Starkers.
I get it. I was just curious. I've never seen it done before. I was just wondering.
We could definitely gather some more information, see what the options are.
Or maybe do it like the breakfast for the kids who are staying after, or grab and go for after as they go through the lunch line. For the kids who stay
It's just a thought. I just,
that might be easier.
might be a missed opportunity.
Instead of breakfast for them, they grab and go to snack for after school.
I will say the breakfast, you're gonna get a higher reimbursement rate than you would a snack.
So are you doing it for the high school? Because I thought you said you were only doing it for the elementary, the breakfast.
We weren't trying to like kill people. It's
So
there's work involved. We are working right now to see how we can expand this, whether it is bringing out new people for maybe 2-3 hours a day and extending somebody else's hour time for an hour or two, and they can work collectively in their building. So we're just trying to see what it looks like. It's easy with little kids, right? They come, they take their bag, and they go. High school and middle school, you're dealing with a tremendous amount more classrooms, right? How are the things getting there? Because they're not grabbing it right at the line. And if they were to grab it at the line, then that means that it has to be prepped and ready by the time they're going through. So logistically, it could happen. We just thought it was a lot to put it implemented for everybody.
The behind the scene work is not what you know, putting stuff in it. There's a lot to it between storing it and getting it delivered. And if we were doing it for every single school, we would have to put pods out back here or something just to store the things because we don't have the space. So storage plays a huge part of it. The staff is already swamped, I have to say. I mean, staff has done a tremendous job through this whole thing, and I applaud them. Anytime anyone says thank you to me, no, thank the staff. There is a lot of labor-intensive work behind what we do in the back of the house. So everything sounds good when you talk about it, but actually sitting down, implementing it, and trying to figure it and implement it, that's where, you know, you kind of start to break and fall apart.
Well, I think, and I appreciate everything you say, but maybe that's something that we put in request. It may not financially make sense, but this department has been upside down forever, and I think we need to look at every avenue. And if it's snacks, if it's putting breakfast in our middle school and high school, let's take a look at it. If it doesn't financially make sense, fine, but we don't know that, right? So, and I appreciate it, it could not work, but we need to turn over every rock to try and not lose $100,000 a year.
And one of the things, I know the principals, the elementary principals received a little blurb about the lunch program and the breakfast, but it's really informing the community. Because some feedback that was received was you're wasting funds, and it's actually the opposite. Like by giving your child this grab and go, I'm increasing revenue, which is doing far more for the community, for the kids, better learning environments, even if they're eating the snack at the end of the day. Maybe it's cutting down on some grocery bills, like you don't have to buy your kid fruit this week because you have some stuff that came home from the school. So I think that's going to be a big piece, just the education component. And we're going to do a lot to make sure we push that message out too, so they understand.
I have a quick question about recommendation number 9, I believe it is. So speaking of turning over every rock to not lose money, how are we financially benefiting as a school district to provide another school with no reimbursement of full-time employee? I just want to make sure.
We do receive reimbursement.
Okay.
We do receive reimbursement. There is I believe there is a slide about St. Stephen's, so if you just give us a couple slides,
okay,
we'll go through that, and then also the recommendation for an agreement with them.
Sounds good, thank you.
Not a problem. All right. The next picture, it's small, I know, is a snapshot that you have seen a couple different times. What I want to draw your eyes to is the estimated expense for the 2020-21 year and the estimated revenue. If you go all the way down to the bottom, it's the first year and this is estimated, we're going through our audit now, it is black. It is not red. I do not anticipate a negative, and this already includes the fact that we're charging $100,000 for health insurance, which is usually the thing that puts us in the negative each year. Now, you will also see here that we do have the Interfund Transfer listed here. This is something that the board has allowed an additional $15,000 for the upcoming year, which will bring us to a total of $70,000 in the 21-22 school year. If you're looking for the Interfund Transfer, it's under the revenue section, right above total revenue. And so that will help us. Two things are really happening. The Interfund Transfer is going to help the negative balance. And then if we are able to increase participation with breakfast, with lunch, and having the higher reimbursement percentage, that should also help. Hopefully we have a good health insurance year, and that may also help. So we have a couple of different areas that would be financially positive for us. It's a slow process. There's no way.
I know it, and I understand that. I'm not trying to, I'm looking at these numbers, and with a $55,000 reimbursement, we wouldn't have given that, we still would have been negative. And I know we're working on those numbers, but that's all. And I appreciate everything you're saying. I just think that we need to go through every possibility because it's, you know, that's a lot of money. And it's so long.
Yes. Any questions on this slide? And once the extra audit, which happens in October, occurs, you'll have final numbers for that.
This is just our 5-year plan that we had worked on. Still working on things. One of the things that I'm interested in is getting the staff certified. I know some of us were ServSafe certified due to COVID and whatnot. Basically, there was no information. I just received some stuff today. ServSafe use qualifications, go basically take a test in all aspects of working in food service. I would like to have at least the managers and maybe have a rotating thing, getting 5 staff every so often. It stays with you, I believe, for 5 years. Working on executing financial, working on the financials, trying to at least. I've gone down many avenues. I've worked endlessly with Ruby. I've worked on figures, worked with SRPs. Just trying to make, ends meet. Trying to figure out what we can do, where we can save, what we can do better. That's and labor hour analysis. And the biggest thing is just reducing the stigma that I think food service in schools holds. Like, it's a nasty meal, it's, whatever there is. The meals are good. I know everyone wants to go back years back and say when the food went to whole wheat and all this stuff, it's nasty, nasty. The food has come such a long way that I can serve you something now and you have no clue that it was whole wheat unless you're Bobby Flay or something. I can say that I would get a lunch every single day if it was free here at school. You have options, even breakfast. When you come through the doors in the morning, you have options of cereal. I'm sure every kid eats cereal. So, like, the parents out there and the students are like, ew, I don't want a school lunch. You're missing out. You truly are. Take advantage, because later on in life, you're going to be paying for all this food. So eat it, enjoy it while you can. And when you go to college, nothing's free.
So the next slide here, just by the same recommendations you see in the board agenda are here. So everybody can see the same thing. So one of the recommendations was in reference to health insurance. This is something that I am reviewing with our advisors in reference to what our options are. Clearly, anything that pertains to health insurance also has to be discussed with the union, but we are looking at all avenues on ways that this is not such a heavy hit to the food service department budget. Seamless summer, as I mentioned, would be something that we continue to look into that, again, takes some working with the union, but everything's been really good in reference to just the sit down and communication. So I think they would be all in favor of that. Maximizing breakfast participation in the 3 elementary schools for the upcoming school year in a grab-and-go model. We have met with the elementary principals to kind of discuss what this looks like. It will not start the first day of school. There are some things that
There's some logistics that need to be worked out, and staffing and product, but we'll get there.
Yes. Another thing on here, and I know districts that do this, is in-house catering requirements. We have, as Patrick says, we have a food service group that does a tremendous amount of work. They do things for every meeting in-house that I have during the day. I use them for whether it's pizza, salad, soups, food-friendly things that work for Ruby and maybe not everybody else. So we use them. So really just pushing the aspect of other people using our own food service department before we go to a Tops, a Wegmans, or those other places when we can do it internally. When it's done outside, unless somebody else is paying for it out of their pocket, it can be a purchase order, so it's the district paying Wegmans or the district paying Tops, when the district can be feeding the money back into the food service department. Restore the snack bars in all schools. I think this deals more on the elementary level besides just making sure they can happen this year, but allowing kids to buy snacks every day. Some of them have certain rules and stipulations, so we'll be working with the principals on what is allowable and how that looks Monday through Friday. Vending machines being set on a timer. This is not only we're requesting it, vending machines are supposed to be set on a timer for what students can have access to during school hours of the day. So we will be working with whoever is in charge of doing the vending machines. I haven't fully figured that out yet, but we will be working with them, just making sure they're following along with state requirements and food service requirements. We have already done number 7. So switching to an electronic system of handling and processing the free and reduced price applications. And this should maximize the number of free and reduced eligible students. What I think is very important for people to understand is meals are free, and we understand that. But if you're not filling out your application and you qualify, you are losing benefits. Students who qualify for free and reduced may have their, is it AP exams?
So like for juniors, seniors, when you're doing your SAT testing, your PSAT tests, like your fees are waived or reduced if you are qualified for free and reduced. Constantly have guidance counselors always hounding us down in the office to get free and reduced applications to their students, to fill them out just to see if they can get a fee waived. I have no clue what a college visit or even any of that costs, but if it can save a family money in the long run, by all means, fill it out. The other thing is, families were receiving the EBT cards, the debit cards from the state. If you are not on the free and reduced list, you're not getting one of those cards sent to you if they continue to send them out to the children who qualified for the free and reduced lunches. I can't tell you the amount of phone calls I got from parents when they realized, hey, my neighbor, they're free, whatever, and my daughter, I didn't get one. So when I go and look, they never filled out an application for last school year because everything was free, and they had the thought process that I don't need to fill anything out. So you missed out on getting, I don't know, a $400 debit card or up to or something. So there are benefits other than just getting free and reduced meals at school.
So if I just ask, what are we doing as a district to ensure that that information is out there? Parents are going to hear that breakfast.
That is the
free,
hardest thing,
right?
To even, I take phone calls daily. It's you know,
We do email blasts, but the person has to read the email. We put stuff in the welcome back calendar, but they have to read that information. I think what I'm just going to do is have a meeting reminder that literally is just reminding me to tell people, hey, make sure you filled out your application. It's easier now, it's simple, it's online, you don't have to send anything back to us. And maybe a little blurb on the benefits of doing so. And we have grant funds that are tied in with that as well, because we receive title money. So those applications not being filled out could impact us negatively.
Do you think it would make sense to send out that text? Like, I know Roger did today, for the high school, he was like, we got a text message, so we'll get the email in regards to dress code and, what was the other one?
Dress code and.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, code and conduct. And I think, you know, if, I don't go into my personal emails that much. I read emails all day at work. And because I got the text message, I went and read both.
Okay.
I don't know if that will help. I don't know if it's something easy to do or.
They're willing to do it.
Can I ask a question about filling up the form out? I know like some who were already getting free and reduced lunches for school before the pandemic.
There's still a process that they're supposed to be fulfilled to get
It out, then they were able to get the EBT card regardless of their income. Is that still work? Does that work that way? Do you know?
say that. So
So
you're
it
talking
didn't
about
matter, it didn't matter what the parent's income was because
community
everyone,
eligibility.
because the whole district received it. Everyone in the district who filled out a paper or that application online, regardless of their income, also received those EBT cards and that because they filled out the application in their school district, everyone gets free lunches.
Are you asking me? Or
No, they
telling me?
did.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if no
If
matter
the same thing would apply?
Yes, because we're all getting free lunches this year.
I will have to ask because they already had a community eligibility going on. And what that means is they had enough students in their direct search system to say, hey, we can do this for the entire district. And I think your numbers are good for like 2 or 3 years. So there might have been a stipulation in that program, but I can ask.
Okay, I was just wondering if it was a
Oh, sure. Yeah, perfect.
So just briefly, the community eligibility provision, yes, there are districts around that qualify. To qualify, you have to have 70% of your students qualify for free meals based on direct certification, not just income. So when I look at the free numbers at Grand Island, you're less than 25% totally as a district, not even in the ballpark for CEP. But it's a home run for the schools that can do it for sure.
Okay, I just didn't know if they were offering some of the other benefits just because everyone was already getting a free lunch.
Yep.
On here, it also mentions the policy for addressing student and staff charges. It's really student charges, staff are not allowed to charge meals. And then the repayment of these charges. So when I started, right as I was coming in, that's 3 years ago, we had just adopted a policy in reference to lunch shaming, which really meant that you could not, as a staff member, continuously say to a student, you have a negative balance, or tell them you can get an alternative lunch. So that then puts us in a place where we have to communicate directly with parents if they choose to communicate back with us, and then negative balances were incurring. Is the amount horrible? No, it's not. I want it to be zero, but there is a large concern that if we do not continue free the year after, that this is going to skyrocket because kids are going to participate, especially if there's no negative consequence for it, just as a FYI. So that is something, we do have a policy in place, but I think as more information is given in the direction that this is going, that we will have to review that and really come up with some creative ideas to get a handle on that. And then lastly is St. Stephen's annual agreement for food service. We have spoken with St. Stephen's, so I feel fine saying this out in public. We have spoken with St. Stephen's in reference to doing an annual agreement. It'll probably be a 2-year agreement because we're always going to be a little bit behind trying to look at their information. There is so many students or meals they need to serve to really be at a break-even place. You will see 2 slides from now where they ended up for this past school year. They did phenomenal. But it's really them understanding we can't continue to go in the negative in your area. We already are in our own. And if they're able to serve the meals where they're breaking even, we are fine with allowing a staff member to be there to do the serving. And if they are not in that position, then we will have to come up with an alternative way, which possibly would be us packaging them and making sure they're sent to St. Stephen's and them figuring out the logistics within their building. So we have goals. We always have goals. You want to go through the goals?
Sure. All right, so our goals for the 21-22 school year, biggest thing is to maximize the breakfast and lunch participation. Huge. Breakfast and lunch are free for all students. I have to say, even though you never qualified, you make $1 million a week, you are not taking a breakfast or lunch away from any other student in the country. I'm gonna say in the country, because that's not how it works. There's always meals for the kids. Grab and go breakfast, as we had stated, we want to implement in all 3 elementary schools. And maybe if we get comfortable and we're ripping through those, we can look at possibly looking at middle school. Achieve financial stability. As Ruby had mentioned, a transfer to the food service of $70,000. Always looking at health insurance and chargeback with review. Doing the seamless summer option, which we are doing for the school year. And really getting more teachers, coaches, you name it, the different departments to utilize the in-house catering. I think Dr. Graham and Jude and other people can attest that when we have our meetings and we provide food, it's top notch. I mean, so in professional development, as I spoke earlier, I would like to get staff safe certified and food service staff development. Have the food service department more involved in staff development, just going over the norms. I mean, you forget things as years go by, so a refresher course of something, something along the lines of that. And then if you scroll to the next page, St. Stephen's. So, we already spoke about the annual agreement with St. Stephen's. And right here, you can see that the monthly total pre-COVID and then this past school year, and see how the numbers were just phenomenal.
Any questions about St. Stephen's? I know you had a question earlier, Ashley. I don't know if it was answered fully or if it's still lingering.
So what is our reimbursement? Do we know what our rate is in terms of reimbursement for the full-time person that we supply, or is that?
The reimbursement for?
Yeah, it's, I know that
For the
we mentioned we do receive reimbursements
Yes.
for that. Do we know, based on those reimbursements, did we break even, or what was the cost last year for the agreement, like in terms of?
So they averaged roughly 130, almost to 160, and at times 170 meals at St. Stephen's. Before COVID, we were lucky if we served 60 kids. So the participation skyrocketed. And that is when, when we had met with the Tom consultant and we sat down and looked at the numbers, by all means, we are going to stick to this as long as we are getting that reimbursement.
So that's what she wants to know. So is our reimbursement rate the same for St. Stephen's meals served as ours?
Yeah.
So it's the same reimbursement rate that we receive for all of the meals that are served. Whereas the issue we were running into before is they had, I'm ballparking this number, maybe I'll do 10 to 15 students that were free reduced. That might be high.
That's way high.
Okay.
Like 7 to 8 students who were free and reduced. So that was the reimbursement.
That you were receiving, and then the
yeah.
kids that were paying were just paying for their meals. So that was it on the side of revenue. Whereas now you have anywhere between 120 to 180 students that are participating, and you're getting the full reimbursement for every single one of those students. And that's why the agreement really popped up into play, because this is another free year. We think this year will be another great year for them. And they know that we need to see what's going to happen. Are we going to continue on this? Living on a hope and prayer there, that we just continue on and it's free moving forward, which really sets in stone how we can move the entire program forward, what our plan is to address the matter.
And at this pace, the current pace, or last year's pace rather, with the lunches, did that offset the cost of what we sent to supply?
I think we offset the cost in like 4 months.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, the turnaround's quick for what we, for what it cost to staff someone, food and whatnot. Yes, it was insane to see those numbers. It was actually like, I wanted to jump up and down. So it was really cool to see.
Thank you.
Oh, and there's gonna be there's a food service committee meeting September 23rd. I haven't sent an invite out yet. I know a board member likes to be present during that too.
What day of the week? I don't have my phone or calendar. What day?
September 23rd, I believe, is a Thursday.
I'm out of town that day, and I don't know if it's set in stone, but I would like to be in attendance, or if the meeting's gonna happen when I'm not there, I would like to have sit down and talk to you.
Okay.
Fully brought up to date.
Okay.
So if you could include me on emails as well for those meeting schedules.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. We'll send it out. Maybe we can just pick a different date that we can
Put on, if it's set in stone, but I definitely would like to.
No,
sit
we
down
haven't
and-
sent it out yet.
Okay.
It was just something
It's
that,
all good.
okay.
Good, you guys can be. Lucky. And I think Nicole.
Any questions remaining?
I actually have one. Can we go back to the financial snapshot?
Alrighty.
Okay. So where it says other contractual, what exactly is other? Because the reason I'm asking is when you look at expense for 2019, 2020, there's only a $39.23 charge, and then it jumps for 2021 from $39 to $8,059. Right there. Yeah, there. It goes, yeah, and it jumps significantly, and it's labeled in other, so it's generic terms.
I know.
Like during budget, I'm always asking, like, other, the miscellaneous.
So Tom said he thinks it's repairs on equipment.
Just repair.
So they broke down contractual expense with repairs versus other expenses, trash removal, disposable goods. I think that I interpreted this as repairs. Some years there's a lot, some years there's a little. Some schools add in equipment purchases, some don't. But I would say I believe that to be repairs.
Are we able to just get something, thank you, are we able to get something just specific? Because it just, and I get if it's just repairs, but is it just repairs or is it repairs items?
It is.
And it doesn't have to do, you don't have to give it now. I mean,
I got it.
Oh, okay.
That's why I love bringing my laptop places.
Thank you.
So there are mechanical repairs, there is investing. I can tell you what that purchase order is specifically, but the other ones seem to be the United refrigeration, which makes sense because we did do a lot of refrigerator.
I had a lot of freezers and coolers that were not properly this past school year.
But that's, I can, if you'd like, I can send the board a purchase order. It just gives a little bit of detail in reference to what occurred there.
Just kind of, you don't even have to do the exact order. It's just really just looking to see what exactly is that line item. And I can't remember what year we approved. Maybe it was a while back, some refrigerators. I just, I don't want to say it was
In 1920, we were mostly working out of Sidway, doing meals just pickups from March through on. So if there were any repairs, it would have been first in the year, and then come when COVID hit, we were serving meals and not even utilizing, you know, the steam wells and other things, dishwashing machines. Everything was being served out of the garage door at Sidway.
Wow. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Well,
Okay, Dr. Harris, did you want to go through A through G, the action items and H?
All right. Items A, B, and C are all obsolete. This includes obsolete textbooks and obsolete equipment. Just so you're aware, I know when it comes to textbooks, they do pre-check to see if they can get anybody to purchase them first. And when it comes to equipment, we usually send something around district-wide to see if anybody wants to take any tables, chairs, desks, any of those items. So those things have been done. Item D is a donation from Young and Right, and this was a donation to assist us with an employee recognition that is happening tomorrow at 8 a.m. Dr. Graham scheduled that, not me. At 8 a.m. tomorrow. So we are really excited to be able to honor staff during that time. The next item on here is E, and this is a tax assessment challenge settlement. I am not sure if the board is aware, but for a while we were going back and forth in reference to an assessment ourselves in the town with local units, I would say. That has finally seemed like there's been a decision made, and this was what the legal team provided to us, just to have the board take action on it so we can move forward with that information. Then there is the F is the amended certification of school tax budget and tax rate. I think at the last meeting I mentioned right before that we were approving this so I could send the documentation in, but that the assessor's office had told me that same day that the numbers were changing. So these are the correct numbers. The county has them and the assessor has them.
Is that the final one then? Or you?
Yes, anything from here will not be me coming back to the board. It will be me working with the Department of Finance on how do we fix this. So there might be some other things, especially since we are finding out that the tax assessment challenge has been settled. I don't know how that looks on the town's end with the information they supply, but anything further will not come here for approval. I will inform you though if things change. And then item G was the food service presentation and the recommendations that were provided by Tom as well as Patrick and myself in reference to the food service program for the 21-22 school year. And those are all my action items.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry. Yeah. So if I could have a motion to approve A, B, C, and D, please. We're going to separate out E.
I'll motion.
And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any objections? Any abstentions? Motion carried 7-0. And if I could have a motion to approve E, please.
I'll motion.
And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Any objections? Any abstentions?
I need to abstain.
Thank you. Motion carried 6. All in favor? I'm sorry. Aye. You did aye. Okay. A motion carried 6 in favor and 1 abstention. Did we do F and G? Oh, I'm sorry, we did not do F and G. If I could have a motion to approve F and G, please. And second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Any objections? Any abstentions? Motion carried 7-0.
And then lastly, H is just the check warrants for July. And that is all.
Thank you. And that brings us to special education.
I think we're gonna go backwards. So as we talked last board meeting, we won a special ed center school this year. It was always started out 6 through 12. Then last year during COVID, we had a 2 through 12, which was all virtual. And then this year, we actually had a K-12 program along with our ENL. In the board packet, we have an attachment that actually highlights some of the lessons for the special education students, our K-12 students. And then tonight, I actually have Megan Biter, who I'm going to introduce in a moment. Megan is an ENL teacher. She actually started out at OSIC. We are lucky enough to hire her here as a district employee. And she has helped run
summer school program. Megan, what, 3 years now?
Yeah.
Was this
3
our
years.
third year?
Yeah.
So, this is Megan Byer, everybody, and she is going to show a video of our ENL students, and it has continually expanded. I think, Megan, how many did we start off with? 5 or 6?
Well, as I find out about the Friday field trip, it seems to go way up, so. That's what I'm here to highlight today.
Yes, and how many did we have this year?
We had about 25, I have to say, between the two groups. So we split up K1 and 2-5.
So, all right, and Dr. Grant, I think that you got. Okay, Megan, go ahead, you wanna? Maybe you want to just highlight some of the things
I just wanted to thank everyone for the opportunity for our kids to go out in the community and go to places that they're not really used to going to. I've had a few who've never been to the beach, who have never gone swimming. You tell them on Monday, guess where we're going, and you are asked every day, is it Friday yet, is it Friday yet? They go buy a bathing suit, and we get to the pool, and they're just laying there saying, it's the best day of my life, and it just brings tears to your eyes to see how much it means to them to go do that. So even though through Thursday we're keeping them in the routine of reading and writing, Fridays is a really special thing for our kids that we just appreciate. So I want to put together a thank you video just to highlight a special part of our program. Questions? Thank you.
Megan, thank you so much. Thank you. Can sneak out any. So going backwards, okay. So going backwards, every year, we update the code of conduct. As I know, the principals and assistant principals for going through that document and adding additions or deletions. We actually find new little nuances every year so that we can, add, delete, etc. So this is the first read. Everything is highlighted that changed from last year in blue. Next week, or next board meeting in September, I will ask for action to adopt it, and then it will go up on our website. Further questions? Right, and then my last two items. We are still in the swing of things with CPSE and CSD meetings. We are finally concluded them for the summer, but we'll be back at it. We actually had 35 plus special education students registered this summer. So we have to do all of those transfer amendment meetings coming in. So we were on the board of ed for September. So if I could action on those, I would appreciate it. Second?
abstentions. Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you.
And that brings us to the superintendent's report with Dr. Graham.
Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you to the board and our community for being here tonight or watching online. We really appreciate your interest in our school system. I do have 90 slides, which I promise not to show all of them to you. We did push this out to the community over the weekend. It's on our website, so if anybody's interested, I was able to narrate that. There's a long version and a short version of our opening plans, but it's available to our community. So I thank you for your attention to that. Remember, our goals is to keep our students and staff healthy and safe, to be responsive to our student needs, and to maximize in-person 5 days a week teaching and learning for all of our students. Let me just do this real quick. So I won't go again over all of the slides, but you'll see, there's information here on how COVID has spread with this new Delta variant from July to the end of July and into August. The red and the increase in red are the counties across the United States, and these slides are taken from the CDC. Additionally, you can see from August 6th to August 16th to August 21st an increase in New York State and the counties in New York State. And currently, as of August 21st, Erie County had 102 positive cases in the past 7 days, which pushed the county into the red, or as the CDC calls, the high transmission category. These slides are, interesting. I said in my video that people should kind of pay attention to the differences between men and women on these slides. Nobody at Erie County Department of Health has told me to say that. I just thought it's interesting as we look at the 0 to 9 population, the 10 to 19 population, 20 to 29, 30 to 39, 40 to 49, and so forth. As we look at these slides, you kind of notice that for whatever reason, and these slides, females are more, are getting COVID, at a percentage more than the guys. It's not, I'm not a scientist and I haven't looked at this, but I just thought it was interesting. And that each week you'll see that there are, of the new cases, right? These are just new cases in each week in these age categories. So once again, as you see, the bar graph for the females are more in many cases than the guys. Just interesting information. All of this information is on the Erie County Department of Health website. They update their PDF report once a week. And so you'll see they've been keeping track in early summer and throughout the summer of the new cases every 7 days per 100,000. So you can see that each week the number was going up, and then on the 21st it hit that red area. Also, the board is aware that I keep track of the week-to-week net change on Grand Island alone. This slide was taken from August 8th, and there were 2,011 cases identified in Grand Island since March of 2020. But as I said, we keep track of the week-to-week net change, so this is 2023 on August 18th, and on August 25th, 2052. And so putting that in the table, you can see that we keep track, and then this is what it looks like on a bar graph. This is from September of last year, and this is September of this year. Again, this is good data. It's not a huge spike or a huge change week to week. This is where we started the school year last year, and this is where we're starting the school year this year. Also, just to kind of highlight the changes from week to week, from August 14th to August 15th to August 21st. Also, this is August 20th. This keeps track from March 2020 to the current time. This graph shows Erie County hospitalizations and also shows intensive care. And then this is most recently, you can see the change. There's still quite a few people being hospitalized. This represents vaccinations for the counties. August 7th, New York State, at this time on August 7th, 61% of residents in Erie County had at least one dose. And then on the 17th, 61.5%, the 22nd, 62%. So more and more people in Erie County are considering the vaccination. On Grand Island, as of August 9th, it was 78.6% people vaccinated, 79% on August 18th, 79.3% on August 23rd, and 79.7% or 80% on August 25th. So individuals in Grand Island, the individuals who are 20 years old and up are being vaccinated at least with one dose on Grand Island. I'm going to skip a lot of these timeline slides and jump ahead.
Can I speak with
Sure.
any data for the 12 to 20? Those are the kids who are vaccinated.
I'm sure there is data. I think I just would have to search for it. Okay. Right now, I couldn't tell the board or our community what our vaccination status is in our school system for 12 and up. I don't have that data. But I do know, I think, Cheryl, that our nurses can look at on a system that I don't have access to, that our school nurses do to do that work.
It's a nicer system, yes, they can.
Yeah.
Because they can look up all vaccinations, MMRs, et cetera.
Okay. Yeah, it just might be, I don't understand the system, I've never used it, I don't know if the nurse only can see it as student by student, I don't know if it's aggregated. Yeah. Sure. Just try to skip ahead. These slides just talk about the Erie County Department of Health requirements and or recommendations. I'm just jumping ahead to what we're going to be doing. All right. Okay. So the school will be open 5 days a week, which is very exciting, and this is true for all districts in Erie County. So no hybrid or 100% virtual learning. Our start and end times, of course, are reverting back to the original start and end times before the pandemic. High school and middle school start and end times are the same. That means that the transportation department will be bringing, between 1,600 and 1,700 kids to the campus at the same time. And then Heath, Kegbine, and Sidway will also have the same start and end times. So our district buses will be running at full capacity. We are not, as you know, offering the 100% virtual unless a family has been able to communicate with Cheryl Cardone that their child is immunocompromised or medically fragile. We do have some seats still available, I think, Cheryl, with Erie. We have 3 seats that are still available for any child in our school system that can communicate to Cheryl that their child is immunocompromised or medically fragile. And that is an e-learning virtual academy through Erie One BOCES.
And you do have to commit to it for the year.
All right. And we will, of course, continue to comply with all of the Erie County Department of Health close contact quarantine requirements. A close contact is someone who has been within 3 feet of an infected person. I believe last year it was 6 feet, or 6 feet and less. And this should say 15 minutes, not 10 minutes. Right, that's been a change. So again, it's a change from 6 feet. A close contact is any individual who is 3 feet or within 3 feet of the infected person. And those individuals who are determined to be a close contact and are vaccinated will not have to quarantine. And that is really good information for our secondary students. This red arrow pointing to a positive case in the classroom, you can see that these seats and individuals sitting in those seats would be identified as a close contact, and then the green circles would be proximal contacts and not having to quarantine. Any questions about that slide, our board? For individuals who are close contacts and having to quarantine, or individuals who are identified as being positive with COVID-19 and needing to isolate at home, the school district will offer home hospital instruction for those students. And what that means is that, well, first for our community and our board, prior to COVID, any child who was home for an extended illness received home hospital instruction in our school system, and that is true across Erie County. Home hospital instruction, by definition, is 1 hour a day for our elementary students and 2 hours a day for our secondary students. And we will follow that protocol for our students who have are identified as close contacts and needing to be quarantined.
So, can I just ask,
Yes.
in general, who are those instructors then, for parents wondering?
Yeah, sure. At our elementary buildings, it'll be a certified teacher who is a teaching assistant, and they'll work hand in hand with the classroom teacher to provide that instruction.
Will be someone from the building?
Yes.
That has direct contact with their
Yes.
son or daughter's teacher?
Yes, yes. And at the secondary level, for example, high school has always had a program, and it's run by John Ball, I think. And it's called AAP, and those teachers are certified teachers in those areas. They work with Mr. Ball to provide that instruction, and it's going to be new at the middle school.
But the same?
Run the same, yep.
Specific courseworks, biology, things like that stuff.
Sure. So, of course, the district will follow the Erie County Department of Health mandate for universal indoor masking for all students age 2 and older. That includes staff, teachers, visitors to our schools, regardless of their vaccination status. It's important for the board to know, and you probably are aware, that the New York State Department of Health weighed in. I believe it was Friday. Usually that's when we get news from the department, New York State agencies, that Friday they are also mandating the same as Erie County. As our board and the community understands, that these recommendations are very similar to the CDC, the Infectious Diseases Society of America, the American Academy of Pediatrics as well. Masking, when combined with other layers of protection, will give our students the best chance to remain in school full-time with fewer illnesses and disruptions, and cloth masks in school help to decrease the spread of droplets or aerosols to others. Does our board have any questions about that?
It's kind of a general question. So what would be the ramifications to the school district if we did not follow these mandates?
Yeah, sure. So although nobody from the state or Erie County has given me a list of consequences, we do know that there was a school district in the Erie County area that they were not following mandates at the end of last year, and they were contacted with consequences from the New York State Education Department and the New York State Department of Health, as well as the governor's office. So I don't have specifics on what those consequences were for that district, but we do know that by not following the mandate, we would put ourselves in a situation where it could, I believe some of the things that I've heard were sanctions, fines, and the closing of schools. Yeah, absolutely. So again, following the Erie County Department of Health requirements and recommendations, our classrooms will maintain 3 feet of distancing. We'll continue to ask parents to take their child's temperature prior to them boarding our school buses. Children, of course, must be fever-free. That means they should not have a temperature of 100 or greater. We will continue to require children and staff to stay home when they're ill. We will continue to use the thermal temperature scanners. We will continue to use the daily health screening form. This has been in flux. At one point, we were going to not use that health screening form because it's cumbersome for parents and for administrators. Robin and I had a great opportunity last week to see a webinar and a virtual meeting with a company that is BOCES aidable that may be able to automate this better for the school district. So we're exploring that, and in turn, the same company has systems in place to automate a lot of other things besides health screening forms. So we're going to meet with Ruby and Cheryl and Mike and Robin and look at it a little greater in detail. So I apologize as a parent myself. I do recognize that this is cumbersome, but we will continue to use it and look to improve that health screening form in the near future. Any questions about that?
Is it still the travel that's still on there?
No, it should be updated. Mrs. Quietek should have updated that for us.
She did.
Yeah.
It's already been updated. There's actually, the health screening form is on, Erie County Department of Health Care System, so that is the one that we use.
Yeah. And that same form is used when teachers log into their computers, and also the same language should be in Raptor when parents put their license in the Raptor system. Of course, I mentioned not only do we encourage families to keep their children home when they're sick, and staff should stay home, but we will continue to send students and staff home if they develop symptoms at school. We'll, of course, continue to teach and educate and promote hand hygiene protocols, and continue to implement the cleaning and disinfecting protocols we were implementing last year. The community may be aware, I know the board is, that every classroom and many office spaces have their own air purifier from Austin Air. I know Ruby worked with Channel 4 on a story that they were doing about that. Those air purifiers are still in place and will be used 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in our classrooms to purify the air. To the extent possible, we plan on offering free weekly COVID-19 surveillance PCR testing. This is an opt-in. It's only for our students. Parents would provide consent, and that's the only time that we would participate or have a child participate in PCR pool testing. It is a nice partnership with Erie County. They will provide everything for free, and they're also going to provide their own staff member, a nurse, to be in our buildings. One day maybe at Sidway, the next day at Huth, the next day at Kegabine, throughout the week, to be able to offer this to families who want to opt in. Does anybody have any questions about that?
What will the information be used for? I mean, I love that they're gonna see who is COVID-free and who's not, but if it's not gonna be used for a purpose, then I don't understand this.
Yeah, so people can be asymptomatic and carry the virus. So this allows for a family to say, you know what, I do want my child to be tested. They may not be tested every week because they're going to be part of a pool, and so maybe only 10% of the pool at Sidway would be tested weekly. But that random testing may be important for a family who maybe has an ill parent at home, or somebody that they're worried about that their child could be asymptomatic but also be positive with COVID, and then perhaps pass on that virus to a family member.
So it would just be used for us internally, there'd be no reporting to the county?
No, yeah, it's totally reported through the New York State system and conducted by the county.
So do you think it would be their intention to look at that? I know they do this by county, and, I work back to school 5 days a week, I'm not completely unhappy with this, because I have family in Charleston right now, and they have 70% of their kids out of school because they went back with home masks, and they had to start closing complete rooms down. So I'm not necessarily against, I guess, here we are, we're starting in September. What numbers are they going to use? What can we provide? And how do we push for them to give us the information as to when the mandates will change? So that's kind of my lead in here. So that, we're doing this, we're going to give it to the state. What are they going to do with it? They do it by county. Is there ever in consideration by zip code or by town? Grand Island's very unique. We are surrounded by water. There's a lot of, here we are again, I think with unanswered questions as to where we go from here. And I'm pretty sure I don't they don't, but I'm going to ask them.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I really don't have a good answer for you tonight. I think because it's random and it's also opt-in, the sample size could be small in each building, right? So let's say 50 families opt in at Sidway and they only do 10% a week, right? The number in sampling will be small. I just think ultimately what they're trying to do is is find people who may be asymptomatic and in school with the virus, and then make sure that their families are safe at home.
Is this only students and staff, or is this open to the community?
It's just our students that, yeah, because then we would be in a different situation inviting visitors to come into buildings who may or may not be symptomatic. Yeah, that's good. But staff can also opt in, yes. Any other questions? So, I already said this, we're going to be partnering with the Erie County Department of Health. I mentioned that students will not be tested unless a parent has opted in. So more information about that will be coming, probably won't be available until mid-September or later in September.
I have a webinar on Thursday with this group. I can ask that question.
I'm just
what it
curious.
is. You know, I mean, I can ask you. Seems to factor on
So I guess, the question becomes, your child is identified as a close contact, they're quarantined at home, they're not vaccinated, right, they're in third grade. A parent should not try to use, they can of course purchase and use an at-home COVID test, but the district will not be accepting the results of an at-home COVID test as proof of the child being negative. So that's just very important. So of course, parents should also consult with their primary care physician the best way to test their child if they're interested in having their child tested. Of course, modified JV and varsity sports, it's not required for students to be vaccinated. And to the greatest extent possible, I know this was a question, siblings should sit together on the school buses, and that's going to be encouraged by our bus drivers as well as our communication with the community. Any questions about any of those items?
We are doing after-school buses for after-school activities and sports, correct?
Yep. And Teresa, the question is, after-school activity buses will be available for our children, right? Thank you. So spectators, right now there is no limit to outdoor or indoor spectators. So I know last year athletes were limited to 2 spectators per athlete, but that's not something that we're doing for indoor or outdoor sports. But of course, masks are required indoors for our spectators and visitors. That's of course, we have swimming and volleyball, so we expect compliance with that. And then masks are optional for our spectators right now for the outdoor sports.
Is it a school by school specific rule? In other words, if parents wanted to go to an away game for their child, would they have to consult, or is that county-wide?
Yep, excellent question. So really great question. Right now, this is how Grand Island is operating. I expect we'll see this to be true in many school districts, particularly in Erie County. Niagara County may have different rules. I know Niagara County had different rules to start the year, but then those rules changed when New York State Department of Health issued their recommendations to all counties in New York State. So I guess, you want to be communicating with your child's coach to make sure that when you're traveling to Lockport or Niagara Wheatfield or Kenmore, that that the coach is aware and that the athletes are aware of those requirements. Sure. And this is Dr. Ellen Field is our chief medical director and doctor for Grand Island Schools, and he indicated, right, that the Erie County Department of Health COVID-19 guidelines for schools are required. And they are based on evidence and decided upon by experts in their field. Grand Island School District must follow those guidelines. They are not optional. And our district COVID-19 plans follow the county requirements, take into account the community at large, and are sensible. This is attributed to Dr. Ellenfield and well thought out, and that he indicates his support of them. So I just, as we conclude and ask for more questions from the board, for our community, please, if you're thinking about vaccinations, here's just a few more dates and times, that some vaccination sites are available, say on September 1st. So that's what I have tonight. I do acknowledge how frustrating this is for our community and many, our students perhaps, faculty and staff, but we're also very excited to be able to start this new year with sports and extracurricular activities, with the fine arts, with performances and clubs, and 5 days a week, and trying to get as close to possible some normalization, certainly different than we experienced last year, something more positive with some frustration with respect to masks. So just wanted to share that and ask the board if you have any questions.
So they're saying 5-minute break every hour. Has that been discussed to how we're going to orchestrate that? I mean, middle school, high school, I would assume they could have a 5-minute break each class maybe, be about an hour, and how we're going to do it. And yet, just so the parents of the community have an idea, right? Like, because I know we all want them to have a break, right? So just wondering if there's been any communication or discussion.
Sure. Our principals will be leading those conversations during Superintendent Conference Day tomorrow, right? But yes, it's it's definitely something that we want to adhere to the recommendation from Erie County Health that says 5 minutes every hour, but there's no reason why we can't do a little bit more than that.
So once we have that narrowed down, will that be communicated to our parents? I don't mind looking
Sure.
at
That's fine. Yeah, I mean, we have open houses coming up, and parents will be meeting directly with teachers. We haven't changed open house. We're, just as long as visitors wear their masks, they can communicate directly with their teachers and ask them directly, how they're implementing, mask breaks. In every classroom it's a little different. Children still need to be away from each other, when they have a mask break. So it may look different with a classroom that has round tables and classrooms that have desks and chairs, but it's something that I know our teachers and principals will be working hand in hand on that.
I just think that would be a great comfort level to the parents, right? To know that there is a plan, right? So, I don't know, maybe they can include that in their memos to the parents going home or something.
Sure. Anything else?
Do you have any plans to already discuss or having some vaccination clinics again?
Yes.
In any of our buildings?
Yeah. We don't have anything scheduled, but we have communicated to the Erie County Department of Health that we're very willing to continue our partnership like we did last year, offering vaccination clinics here.
Thank you. I think that's, thank you very much.
Sure.
I have one.
Yeah.
So going forward now, we have the mandates, Erie County's come out, the states come out. What will it look like, I know you, the superintendents, really, I mean, how are we looking to stay informed and proactive to what the changes will look like when we'll be, just because last year it just seemed like it was chaotic and it's new times, but I'm just wondering like how the communication will look and what we will continue to do going forward to make sure that our parents and communities have the most up-to-date information.
Yeah, I think that's a great question.
Sorry.
No, that's great. So again, part of your question is, will superintendents be meeting with Erie County Department of Health on a regular basis? The Erie County Department of Health has, I think, because of funding that has increased, whether it's federal funds or state funds, the county itself has expanded their team. So I think, Cheryl, it's fair to say last year their team was a little smaller, and this year you're going to be dealing with different people. So their team has expanded, epidemiologists, school liaisons, and because of that expansion, we have seen more communication and more collaboration between the Department of Health and superintendents and or assistant superintendents. So we do feel positive about that. I can't say to the board today that we're going to be meeting once a month or once every 2 weeks. That hasn't been established, but the fact that they're expanding their department, they're going to be putting a health professional in every school district to assist with testing for those who opt in is very, very positive, and it's going to relieve a lot of stress, I think, on our own nursing teams. So they're listening to the feedback that they're getting from superintendents, and I think, sure, they're open to more in the future. And Dr. Fusco and Dr. O'Rourke, the district superintendents of Erie 1 and Erie 2 BOCES, have played a big role in enhancing that collaborative spirit between health and school districts.
I just want to add one thing. I know we're all frustrated about the masks. I know it's an inconvenience. I know the ramifications for mental health, all of that. But, and I know we're all looking to why they're doing it in New York State. I just want to impress upon you that down where my brother lives in Charleston, South Carolina, in 10 days, 3 different districts had 120 staff members and students out because they did not have masks on. They had to send classrooms home. They are now sitting with 70% of their faculty and students out with no way to educate them because they did not have them because they went in. So it is frustrating. I know we're trying to figure it out. I'm not necessarily happy that my son has to wear a mask, but he's going to wear one. I wear one. I have asthma. I have lung capacity, and I wear one. So I just think we need to keep in mind that it is a pandemic, and it is happening. And I think we need to do the most we can to keep them safe, but I think we still need to keep ourselves educated on our end to make sure that we're doing what we can to have school without masks. So I think sometimes we look locally, but if we look globally in the United States, there are school districts that are suffering because they did not have a mask mandate.
Thank you, Sue. Anybody else? Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to the Board of Education report. I will start, so we're discussing keeping parents informed. We are having a parent forum tomorrow at 6 p.m. high school. This is the opportunity for parents to have back and forth discussion and questions and answers with Dr. Graham. And I think, if you have been looking for some back and forth exchange rather than the formality of a board meeting, this would definitely be the event that you would want to attend to have your questions answered and also to be able to ask questions in an in-person setting. So it's tomorrow at 6 p.m. in the high school auditorium. And Dr. Graham, did you want to say anything else about that, or does the board?
No, I'm thrilled that Cheryl Cardone will be joining me and leading all conversations.
Will it be recorded?
I don't think so. No. So it's just an in-person opportunity. We've done a lot of Zooms and different things. This is a chance. It's going to be informal. We're not, we're going to walk around. If we have a large group, we'll walk around with a microphone. If it's a small group, it'll be more intimate.
Just before we get off of COVID, if our lawsuit from last year has been finalized?
No, but I can give you an estimated number.
Well, I just meant it's done with the actual lawsuit, or they're not still in litigation. And where are we right now with the cost of that lawsuit to the district?
Good. So that's why I said it's not finalized. However, the cost that Ruby and I are aware of is about $106,000, give or take hundreds of dollars up or down. Ruby and I have sent every bill back to our attorneys for thorough scrubbing and review. They have not finalized those bills, and Ruby is, as you might know, very strict on what she pays on behalf of the school district. So we know that it's going to be reviewed thoroughly. We've gotten confirmation on that from 2 attorneys that Hudson Russell did not charge us for that confirmation. So.
Yes.
But it is important for the board and the community to know $106,000 to what we experienced. I think by the end of June, that was the sum of all the bills, those monthly bills that we received.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Once that's finalized, you can give up.
Thank you. So, does anyone have any questions about the parent forum or any other discussion about?
How have we gotten that out to the parents? Have they got out in emails, text messages?
Sure. I believe, and I'd have to triple check, but it was in the e-blast that we put out regarding the, the longer version of the program. So it should be out there.
Thank you. So next, we have some discussion on the district facility meeting from the other day. Glenn, myself, and Joy served on the committee. I know that Joy, you were able to attend the Zoom meeting, and we were discussing a tax-neutral project for air conditioning in Sidway. So I don't know if Dr. Grimm, if you want to say anything. I know Young and Right are coming to an upcoming board meeting. Next board meeting to present.
Yes, September 13th, and the board, I think, Jude, every board member has the minutes and meeting information today, so that is available for you to preview before Young and Right and Campus Construction does a presentation on the 13th of September. Okay.
No, not at this time. I'm glad that they were able to put them in. This is going to give the board members a heads up as to pretty much what they're going to discuss. But it was a request that they do come in and present, so that way, as things are evolving, everyone is fully aware, and the minutes provide a good outline as to the basis of what's going to be discussed at the next meeting.
Thank you. Then we have our Board of Education retreat. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts about a meeting date. We were just tossing around ideas and thinking possibly 6:30 prior to a meeting, and then if we have to come in after a meeting to discuss other items, we could do that. The next meeting to set goals and to review our progress from last year. So I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on that. That might be easier than having a different night of the week. And then if there's any business that we need to discuss in executive session, we could have that following the regular meeting.
I do for that. Board meeting.
Blessing. Okay, so we will set that for our next meeting at 6:30. So that brings us to the public comment session, general items not included on this agenda. We do have a few people from the community signed up for Voice of the People. So at this time, we will invite public comments from those individuals who desire to address the Board of Education on any topic which is not on the agenda. Residents who have previously signed up to speak will be recognized by the president. When speaking, please identify yourself first. Speak clearly and loudly enough for everyone in the room to hear you. Speakers are requested to limit their remarks to no more than 3 minutes. To appoint a spokesperson if a concern is a group concern, and if necessary or desired to supplement any verbal presentations. Personal comments toward a member of the community, staff, or Board of Education will not be considered appropriate. Our first individual signed up is Jason Hoff.
Good afternoon, everybody. I have 2 children in the district, one in middle school, one in high school. I guess I didn't bother writing a speech because I have more questions here now than when I came in. I've been told continually different things all week, and now that I look at this scattered presentation, it's a mandate, it's a recommendation, it's the Department of Health, well, no, it's Erie County. None of these bodies have any legal authority. Specifically, Erie County has no legal authority to impose any mandates on this district. On top of that, Governor Cuomo, his emergency powers were ended by the state legislature. He actually gave everybody in this room a parting gift when he left office during his last press conference when he said the governor has no legal authority to issue a mask mandate without the legislature passing a law. So with his powers removed, now the new acting governor coming into place, where does she get these magical powers from? These are recommendations. How many kids does Mark Poloncarz have in this school district? Or any school district? The answer to that is 0. How many does Gail Bernstein have? The answer to that is 0. How many does Kathy Hochul have? The answer to that again is 0. yet they want to be the ones making the decisions for our children. It's not their right to make the decision and decide what's best for our kids individually. As some of you in this room know, my level of frustration continues to rise with this because the district is unwilling to work with people in any way. What I mean by that is my son last year, he had a severe reaction to the mask. It was called swelling to his face. We have pictures of this. Swelling to his face, bleeding, and scabbing. We were then instructed, because some arbitrary thing that the Erie County Department of Health required a doctor's note. Nobody here in the district could provide it after several times asking them to provide it. I was directed to call the Department of Health. I did that. I asked them, I said, can you either provide me a copy of this requirement of a doctor's note or point me to your website? And the answer to that was no, because they did not have it. So continually people are being asked for things that aren't there. So then we go get the doctor's note. The doctor points out of the risk to him, the risk of a heightened risk for infection, a heightened risk for scarring. That's not even including the other risks of the other things from mental or social, like keeping him out of these classes. Because that was the district's recommendation today. Was we had a meeting with a few of the parties in here, and it was offered 5-minute extras, nothing additional. So then when we push back a little bit, it's, well, he can go sit in the nurse's office, so he loses out on instruction time. This kid is in the top 25 in your district, has been on high honor rolls the entire time. So what does it say right here? Teaching and learning for all students. That doesn't mean exclude the ones just because you don't want to give an inch. Nobody in this room has been willing to work with the parents in any way, shape, or form, and you don't get the ability to claim that you did because you developed all this without the parents' input. You asked for our input at the end of last year. 85% funded optional. It's being ignored by every one of you. And you know what I heard today? Something about funding. You are putting dollar bills before children. That is not okay, ever. And everybody needs to seriously rethink that, of putting money in threats of funding. And I heard a lot of free thrown out here. Nothing's free. We fund the state. We pay the school taxes. So if the school's going to cut funding, join forces with us and fight for it. We'll fight for you. But to this point, the only thing the district, or at least the administration, has been willing to do is stand in everybody's way. These are recommendations. They are not mandates. They are not laws.
15 seconds.
And I guess I'll leave it at that.
Next up, we have Mike, I'm sorry, McKeon?
No, I'm playing around with.
Oh, no? Okay.
Is there something you want to do with that?
Okay. Melanie Grayback.
Hello again, my name is Melanie Graybeck, mother of two, one in kindergarten and one in second grade. I would like to address one of your slides from your opening plans presentation. We didn't show it today, but it was in the email. It states, the public health experts at the Erie County Department of Health, the CDC, etc., have thoroughly studied this matter, and the district has no reason to question or contradict the recommendations. The only reason you wouldn't have any questions is if you saw definitive proof that all of these mitigation factors work. So could you please share that information with us, because I have not been able to find it. And while we wait for that, I have some questions from your constituents, the people who have elected you to represent us. We have some questions for you to ask the Erie County Department of Health, the CDC, etc., and demand answers to. There was a study released in May conducted by the CDC entitled Mask Use and Ventilation Improvements to Reduce COVID-19 Incidents in Elementary Schools. I have a copy here if you would like it. The summary of the study, which is where you usually see the relevant information summarized for you, mentions adults and masks and ventilation and filtration. But that's it, no mention of students and masks, which is confusing because the title just generically says mask use in elementary schools. However, if you go 8 paragraphs down, it then mentions students, and that required mask use among students was not statistically significant compared with schools where mask use was optional. I think that raises a few questions, don't you? Why wasn't that included in the summary? Isn't that a very important aspect of this study? Isn't that the question on everyone's mind right now? Here's another question. Does COVID stop spreading when you are eating? Because the Erie County Department of Health guidelines state students may remove their masks during meals as long as they sit 3 feet apart to the extent possible and a seating chart is kept. Why can my kids sit 3 feet away during lunch with a seating chart and it's okay to take off their mask, but not okay to sit 3 feet apart in the classroom with a seating chart and take off their mask? Erie County Department of Health guidance also states mask breaks may be taken by students once every hour for approximately 5 minutes. Does COVID know it's a 5-minute mask break? Do we call a timeout a ceasefire or something? How does it know not to infect my child during the mask break? Another question, I thought singing was worse than talking when it came to spread of COVID, yet the Erie County Department of Health says in its guidelines that you can take your mask off while singing. If my kid just sings instead of talks, can she be maskless then? From the emergency regulations from New York State, large-scale indoor event venues with more than 5,000 attendees shall require patrons to wear face coverings. I think there are less than 5,000 people in the school buildings. I'm just trying to point out the absurdity. None of this makes sense. That's because they know the masks don't work for kids. By their own studies, they know. New York State has the second worst death rate for COVID out of all 50 states. Why are we listening to these people? What they are doing isn't working. Why aren't you demanding answers from them? Instead, your slide says we have no reason to question them. They've obviously studied this. Finally, and most importantly, we would like to know what is the exit strategy. When does this end? When do the kids get to take off their masks? What are you trying to accomplish with the mask? What are their purpose? We want clear, concrete numbers so that we aren't stuck in this holding pattern forever. COVID isn't going away. Cases will rise and fall every year. We are on month 20. Kids are at a very, very low risk for this disease. Long COVID is rare, hospitalization is rare, even though the news makes you think there are millions of children in the hospital from COVID. It's not true. If you don't believe me, look it up. There's a website, protectpublic.hhs.gov, shows you all of the hospital stats. Death is rare even for adults, but very, very rare for children. The rolling death average in Erie County is still one death. Why are we doing this? Thank you.
Okay, next we have Marty Rastelli.
Hello everybody, my name is Marty Rastelli. I'm a business owner, lifelong Grand Islander. On the island, I have 3 kids in the district. And that's just off here. Number 1. Hey, I lost my thing. If masks work, right? Masks work, everybody says that? If they work, why do you need 2 people to wear them? If I believe in it, I'll wear it. If I don't believe it, he doesn't have to. It's his decision. Right? We want masks optional. That's up to the parents to decide, not you guys, not Erie County, not New York State. It's the parents and adults, right? That's how it always should be. That's why we live in a free country, at least now, and it's still free. Okay? Are we worried about money? Is that what you guys are all worried about, is money? You picked up, I believe it was Pioneer School District you were referencing. They got their money. They got threatened. They got their money. Mark my words, they got their money. Oh, and by the way, they got money for 21 and 22. And guess what? They're going to get money for 22 and 23. Okay? To put my kid's mental health at risk because you want him to wear a face covering? That's my decision. It's his decision. It's your decision if you want to wear it. Okay? 5-minute break. Let me tell you something. How many of you wear a mask for 8 hours a day with a 5-minute break between? I can guarantee you, none of you, not one, takes off your mask for only 5 minutes in 1 hour. And if you tell me you do, you're a liar. You know why? Because you go to your offices. Or if you're a teacher, you have a break, right? Most teachers have more than a 5-minute break, right? You take them off in your classroom. Let's be honest here. Don't take us for fools, okay? We're not fools, all right? One other thing. You all work for us, right? You all work for us. Now let's be honest. There's going to be a huge uprising at the next board elections and everything if we don't do the right thing for our kids. Okay? We brought up, I know we're not calling anybody out, so we brought up another state here where they have a big outbreak right now. Okay? Not calling anybody out. All right? Florida. They're 100% in. Masks optional. If they want to wear them, go ahead. Texas. 100% in. Mask optional. Huh. Oh my Lord. Imagine that. Right? But yet we're going to sit here and tell me or tell parents what's best for their kids. It's ridiculous. I know I'm running low on time here, but it's ridiculous. My point is I've been around a long time. I love this island. I love this island more than most anybody in this room. I can guarantee you that. Okay? But the, what's that? Okay. But the timing right now is for you guys to do the right thing. Stand up for the kids. Don't worry about the money. The money will be there. You want backing from us, the parents? We're going to back you 100%. I guarantee you that if you do the right thing. All right? Thank you for your time.
Okay, that brings us to committee. Oh,
Can I speak? I came in late. My son was at asthma.
yeah, you have to sign up ahead of time.
She's a parent.
My son had asthma, so I couldn't speak on time.
Does it hurt to let us speak?
I think we should let her sign on. You just put me to sign in.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Marigo. Megan's video was really inspiring. I really loved seeing those children smile. It's really too bad that Wednesday they won't be able to see each other smile or the teachers. So if the New York State mandate requires children ages 2 and up to be masked in school buildings, then why are children in daycares and preschools not required? It is because OCFS and daycare owners fought back when New York tried to impose those requirements in May, which is why I chose to pay for my 4-year-old to go to a private preschool so he didn't have to be masked over the UPK program. You're basing your decisions on our government-funded health officials who have a one-sided lens and fail to acknowledge the harmful effects masks have on our children. Our children are not political pawns, and I'm disgusted that politics have played a role in our children's health and well-being. As stated last time, masks are not FDA approved and have been initiated under emergency use authorization to increase mask availability, not to just force onto people. According to federal law, under emergency use authorization, individuals must be informed that the product being administered is authorized under emergency use, that the individuals must be notified of its known and potential benefits and risks, as well as any unknown benefits and risks. And lastly, individuals are given the opportunity to accept or refuse the authorization of product. Any forced participation can be held reliable for any harm or injury. We, the parents, have not received any information of any full disclosure of these medical products. According to the FDA, masks that are used to prevent disease are considered a medical purpose. That therefore, masks are not just part of a dress code and should be treated as a medical intervention. Are teachers and staff completing risk assessments on students? Are they making sure students are changing masks throughout the day? Are you making sure teachers are offering students mask breaks? Have air conditioners been ordered because it's still hot and can get hot into October? If masks were not an issue, why would children be offered mask breaks? We do not offer pants or shoe breaks. But again, you're failing to acknowledge and inform parents of risks of masks. Instead, according to your opening plan, you have no reason to contradict the state or county. However, we have provided lots of information, and it's your responsibility to do your own research. You were wrong last year when we didn't open up for 5 days, and we were wrong again. You have a choice. We vote for the board, we pay taxes, we vote for budgets, we enroll and unenroll our children in school. We know that there is no evidence to prove masks are effective and or make a significant difference. The FDA actually states that masks that are labeled prevents or reduces transmission of COVID are not allowed because it's false information.
20 seconds.
We also know that children pose very minimal risk to COVID. Actually, attempting to suppress their immune systems would be more harmful to them to battle COVID or any other illness, as a functional immune system is critical for our children, which is one of the reasons why children have minimal effects, because of their fast-acting immune systems. So I know, we're trying to keep our kids in school 5 days, I get that, I know. But these metrics also have to change. It's not just about the mask, it's about the quarantining and the metrics of how many cases we have in a county, because this is not going away. We're going to have a new variant every year. Are we going to mask forever because a new variant comes up?
5 seconds.
I just want parent choice, and I think that that's all we want is parent choice. No one wants to be told what to do with their kid because everyone is different, every kid is different, every situation is different. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to the committee as a whole, items and information for the roundtable, beginning with Glenn.
Okay, Mom. Well, I guess I just want to say welcome back, everyone. I know we're in another challenging school year. I just hope we can all make it best for the kids and work through this together.
Thank you, Nicole.
Just glad to see all the kids coming back to school, the web leaders today, and all the stuff resuming back to how we had it before. So glad that the students are getting the opportunity to have all of those.
Jude. Dr. Graham. Oh, we come back to you, sorry. Sue. Quick. Yeah.
Just a super quick thank you to all of our principals for all the hiring that they've done this year. I know it's been a very hectic year in doing that work. I know it's been a very short summer. I had the privilege of spending majority of last week with all of our new teachers and new teacher orientation. Vanderzel McMahon, I want to congratulate them. You saw many of them earlier today. They're a great group. You guys did a great job hiring. Thank you.
All set, thank you.
I started 3 because I figured this was already a long meeting. One, Chromebook Insurance, $10 instead of paying $300. I do not want to send a $300 bill. I'd rather send a $20 one. So that information went out to the principals. They'll be pushing that out through email. We'll also try text message to drum that up. Parents have until October 15th to sign up. The next thing, I will be doing a facility usage committee. I will send something out to the board to get a couple of board members to be on that, as well as probably some community and athletics. Just, we have a lot going on with facilities, new facilities, putting out what that plan looks like, fees, and possibly changing the request form. So that's forthcoming. Last thing, UPK, myself and Patrick have fielded quite a few questions when it comes to the food component of UPK. Sidway is in a school building. They fall under our beds code, so they fall under the free breakfast and lunch. Outside providers are not in our building. I have spoken with the state multiple times on what my options are, and I cannot extend that free breakfast lunch component to them. So the providers are working out with the families how that looks. We have spoken to the state to see what was allowable, but I just wanted to put that out there. I'm still fielding some phone calls. I know there's been some different questions or posts about it, but we're tied in that. That's it.
Just actually, thank you for giving a speech to our August graduates. I want to thank our team, all the summer school teachers that worked so diligently to help our students move forward on their educational journey, but including those who graduated. So thank you to all of them. And tomorrow, we are welcoming back all of our GATA and SRP. We're having a big event. Our welcome back event is at the football stadium at 8 a.m. So I apologize in advance to our Bishop Gate community, but I think it'll be short and to the point. So thank you very much.
Okay, I just want to say welcome back, everyone. Thank you to Jim Rosler and his crew. Thank you to all our cleaners. Everything looks wonderful. You did a spectacular job over the summer getting the buildings ready for our students, and what a great job. So thank you for all your hard work. Welcome our new hires. We have quite a few. They're a great group. It was nice to meet everyone at new teacher orientation. And just a couple dates. Tomorrow is the parent forum at the high school at 6 p.m. And also our superintendent's conference day. Welcome back to our teachers, our faculty and staff. September 1st is the first day of school for students. September 13th will be our next Board of Education meeting and workshop. September 27th will be another Board of Education meeting and workshop. With that, if I could have a motion to adjourn the regular board meeting at 10 p.m. please.
Motion.
And a second? All in favor? Aye. Any objections? Abstentions? Motion carried 7-0. Thank you. Good night, everyone.